All right, guys. So welcome to today's interview. Today we're actually joined by one of our clients, Stephen Cohen. So Stephen, thank you for joining today. How you doing?
My pleasure. No, I'm doing great. Great day so far. Just getting ready to start the workout.
Nice. I love it. That's what we love to hear. Um, Great. So Stephen, I know you've been on our program for how long have you been working with us so far?
So it's now been just at 3 months.
Okay, fantastic. Great. And for a bit of background, do you just want to share a little bit around kind of like yourself, your lifestyle, kind of what you do, and things like that?
Yeah, so I'm a surgeon, a colon and rectal surgeon. I work, teach, and train young medical students and residents. I work in our VA system here in Richmond, Virginia. And, my background is 30 years ago, I used to be a lot heavier than I am now, and I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. So I started doing more cardio. I did a bunch of marathons. I did a couple of Ironman triathlons. The last one I did, however, was now 15 years ago. And then, of course, life catches up with you, gained not all that weight back, but most of that weight back, and needed to look at the next 30 years of my life to try to become more fit, having more energy, and to keep up with the young kids, basically.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I think it's quite a common problem people have when they go into maybe a, very stressful and, time intensive profession like yourself. The health side of things can sometimes fall on the back burner and it's hard to kind of get back into things sometimes.
Well, that's definite. I mean, it's almost like disease. I mean, physicians make bad patients because we think nothing can ever happen to us. And we know that's not true. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, physicians are the cross section of the society like everybody else. We have all the same diseases, all the same inflictions. And, and I've been saying this for years. I mean, the food that we serve the patients in the hospital is abysmal. I mean, it's all crap for no lack of a better way of saying it. So it's all around and it's hard to
Mhm.
avoid that because it's all around.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. And I guess from your perspective, because I guess what you do is very mentally draining and obviously requires a lot of focus. How is it to like, I guess, make healthy choices when it comes to training and like nutrition? Is it a challenge sometimes?
Well, it's a big challenge and you have to be intentional. I
Hmm.
mean, when I was, 15 years ago, Ironman training, that's very intentional. I mean, I had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, start my workout at 4:30, finish everything by 6 to get to my day job, and then come back at 6, 7 at night and do the second workout. But it was more, focused, had a goal, looking for a result.
Hmm. That makes sense. Great. And triathlon. So what does that actually involve for people that might not know? Like, what kind of like sporting exercises or events do you do during a triathlon?
Well, so this was a long distance triathlon, which is a 2.4 mile swim,
Okay.
a 112-mile bike ride, and then a marathon.
Wow.
And that so triathlon is always swim, bike, run, but it comes short distance, long distance. But I had done the long distance, which is a lot of training and mostly cardio. And I never did weightlifting. Who could fit in weightlifting when you had to swim, bike, and run that whole time? I mean, something had to go. That was the thing that went.
Hmm. No, that makes sense for sure. And how often were you training when you were doing the triathlon? Was that a daily thing? What did that look like?
Well, 5 days a week, at least
Hmm.
5 days a week. Yeah. And and some Saturdays and Sundays would be 8 to 9 hours. I'd swim
Yeah.
for an hour, jump on the bike for a 6, 8 hour bike ride, and then run for an hour to two. So that was a all day event.
Wow. And you were doing that while you were still being a surgeon and having your occupation as well?
Correct. Yes, it was a challenge for
Wow.
sure.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Did you have time for anything else or not really?
Absolutely not. Yeah,
No.
there's no time for anything else. Although at the time, I was training with my wife as well. So I would be with
Ah, cool.
her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she was doing it, and she's a much better athlete than I am. She's done the Hawaiian Ironman a couple of times, but yeah, so I could barely keep up with her. But that was kind of how we did it.
Nice. Interesting. That's good. And I think it's great that obviously your wife could get involved with that as well to kind of like push you along and for you to do it together. So moving into like I guess you then stopped doing the triathlons. I guess work got very busy and very intense. So when that happened, I mean, what kind of like impacts did that have on your health? Did you see any like declines in maybe certain things like maybe sleep, energy levels, focus, anything
Oh,
like that?
No doubt. I mean, energy level and sleep and just, just not feeling good. And again, when you add another 10 or 15 pounds
Hmm.
onto your already, body size frame that's not changing, you just don't feel good. Putting your
Hmm.
pants on didn't feel good. Mental clarity wasn't there. Focus wasn't there. So definitely a decline. But again, it didn't happen overnight. This is a 10 or 15 year not doing much exercise, 1 or 2 pounds a year.
Hmm.
My wife would say, I didn't notice you gain weight. Seriously? I mean, 15 pounds easy. So or more. So it's a very slow, gradual decline that kind of catches up to you. It's not an overnight phenomenon.
Absolutely. And we say this a lot to our clients as well, is usually what happens is people, well, when someone maybe is out of shape or overweight, that didn't happen, over a few weeks. It's actually happened over years, because it's usually gradual weight gain and gradual habits that have maybe changed that cause that shift. So and it does sometimes take more than a few weeks to actually get that weight off as well. If it's taken years to come on, it takes more than a few weeks to come off, which I think is a good like way to set expectations of your goals. But I mean, Stephen, since you started like working with us, you had like some great results. So I guess what attracted you to basically like, potentially coming on the program with us initially, and yeah, what made you want to make that change?
Well, so I had done, trying to do things on my own, but not knowing what I was doing. For
Hmm.
example, I can go run a marathon. Nobody's going to help me do that. I got that part, but it's not the cardio. And I knew it's not the cardio that's going to be sustainable. I mean, you don't see a lot of 85-year-olds running a marathon. You just don't. We get slower as we get older. And cardio, as you know, is not a great way to lose weight. I mean, you
Hmm.
might feel good, but it's tough on your body. It breaks you down. So I knew that weight training at some point was going to have to be the way to go, but I didn't know what to do. So I needed a structured, I mean, how many reps am I doing? Am I doing biceps with triceps? Am I doing biceps 2 days in a row? How often do I do legs? I have no idea.
Hmm.
So I like the fact of a structured program of people that know what they're doing. I mean, I can do a hemorrhoidectomy, you can't. So I need the help of somebody more knowledgeable to be able to
Hmm.
say, this is what you do, this is how we get results. So it's the accountability, it's the structure of the program, and it's the focus on what I believe is going to be sustainable for the next 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. And making that shift, I guess, from doing a lot of cardio-based stuff to resistance, it can be quite dangerous and also a little bit daunting if maybe you don't have the right structure or maybe the right plan in place. So that makes complete sense, which is great. So yeah, you've been with us for like 3 months now, Stephen. So like, how have you found it? I mean, what are some of the results you've got? What are some of the changes you've made and things like that?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, I enjoy getting up every morning and going to work out. I mean, and that's, it's weight training. So I did try to do this on my own before I found you, and I didn't
Hmm.
mention that part. But, in my mind, if lifting a little bit of weight is good, lifting a lot of weight should be better, right? I mean, that's how we think, right? If a little bit of antibiotics is good, then you have to give a lot because that's better. And I unfortunately then developed a groin hernia, probably just from
Mm.
being stupid and not knowing what I was doing and not looking at the video of a form of how to do the weight because I thought I knew better. Why don't I know better? I should know better. So doing it on my own didn't pan out that well for me. But I enjoy getting up every morning doing the workouts. The workouts are not so time consuming that I can't work out other things in my life. I get them done, in the morning time. I'm not stressed trying to get in my car to get to work at a certain time if I have a busy day. So it's the structure and it's knowing in the back of my mind that this program is set up for success,
Hmm.
meaning I'm not going to overexert myself. I'm doing the exercises that need to be done to get the result that ultimately is the goal.
Absolutely. No, that makes complete sense. And I know this is why I'm a big advocate of anyone that's in maybe a position like you that is highly successful in their career, has, a lot of time to invest in their career, but maybe not as much time to work all this other stuff out. It's so important to have like outsource that part of your life to somebody that maybe is an expert, right? Because it's going to not only save you time in having to work it all out, but time in actually getting the results, because you're going to get to the end goal a lot quicker when you've got somebody that knows what they're doing, if that makes sense.
Well, it does. I mean, if I have a plumbing problem in my house, I'm not going to try to fix it myself. I know better than that. So it's
Yeah.
the same concept. And patients come to me for an expertise that they don't have, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no reason not to well, most people think they know better, but I know they don't, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, individuals that are experts in their field know how to get results, that and the process is out there, should be utilized for the benefit.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That makes complete sense. What would you say, like, so obviously you started, or before you came to us, you said you were a little bit overweight, you were a little bit tired, you didn't have as much focus. Now you've been through 3 months of working with us. What changes have you seen to, I guess, your day to day and those kind of health areas?
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things, has really been increasing the amount of protein, which I never
Mm.
would have done that on my own. I mean, it just seems like a lot, but trust in the process. But it's not being hungry all day long, and when you're not hungry, then you don't make bad choices, right?
Yep.
So when I was not doing the nutrition as set out in the program, I'd be hungry all the time. And
Mm.
there's potato chips, and then there's a cookie, and then that doesn't satisfy you, and then an hour later, I'm hungry again and I
Mm-hmm.
figure why I can't lose weight. Well, that makes sense. So certainly, eating when I'm hungry because of the amount of protein I'm taking, enjoying the workouts,
Mm-hmm.
and then and the weight is coming off as a bypass or side effect of all that, which is a good downstream effect of everything.
That's incredible. That's amazing. There's some great visual results you've made as well. But I know that internally there's been some changes as well. And Lloyd, maybe you can share that with us as well for the work you've done with Stephen. I know there's been some changes to like his aura ring and tracking your sleep. So how have you found that whole experience of like monitoring your sleep and stuff, Stephen?
Yeah, it's funny because somebody was asking me the other day of, why do you track all that stuff? And my good analogy is, if you want to create wealth, monetary wealth, and you don't know where you're spending your money, good
Mm-hmm.
luck with that, right?
Yeah.
So it's no different. And I'm very anal about tracking my money. Why shouldn't you be anal about what you put in your mouth? Because it's eye-opening. And when I started to track either my food or my sleep, it's amazing, what the results are, because you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know that you're not sleeping 7 or 8 hours, you're going to be surprised. And the aura, a couple of weeks ago or last weekend, I got sick over the weekend. The aura picks it up right away. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, my
Yeah.
resting heart rate jumped up by 20. Something's not right, right? So it's really amazing to be able to track and see what's going on in your body so you can make changes if necessary.
Absolutely. No, I think that that's so important. And there's that famous term, isn't there? What gets measured gets managed. And like you said, it's very funny. There's
Right.
lots of, successful business people and, successful people within their career that will track everything, right? From their finances to how much they've saved, but they won't track their food and they won't track their sleep. And then they wonder why they're not getting the results they want. You have to treat,
Right.
your body like you would your business or your finances to get the results you're after, right?
Right. No, absolutely. Because you don't know what you don't know. And it was amazing to me when I started to track everything, how far off in my mind I thought, oh, I'm not getting that many calories. Seriously? Yes, you are. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Lloyd, anything to add to the work you've done with Stephen? I know you've worked closely with him over the recent months.
Yeah, so just the biggest things with Stephen, it's obviously number one, the weight has gradually come down week on week, and that's just due to the dedication that he's put into the program. Number two, I would say exercise selection. So we set the program up with a push pull legs upper lower split, and Stephen just follows it. So with a lot of people, they tend to find they chop and change programs all the time. They'll be 2 weeks into a training exercise program or 3 weeks, and they'll start saying things like, when are the exercises going to change, or when are we going to change this around? But what Stephen's done really well is just been given a plan and stuck to that plan. And the reason that works really well is because each week he can just progressively overload very nicely. So he's going to build muscle. And not only that, but because he is doing a diet loss phase, he's also got nice markers where he knows if he's getting stronger each week, If you're chopping and changing plans all the time, then he wouldn't know if he's getting stronger, weaker, because he's doing new exercise selections. So we're just doing the same exercises consistently over a long period of time. He knows he's getting stronger. He also knows that he's losing weight. So there's one thing there. He's building muscle and he's losing fat. And obviously the results show in his physique as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. Anything further to add, Stephen, to that, or anything that you've worked on with us?
No, but I will emphasize what Lloyd said. You know, it's really good to go day by day or week by week to look back and say, "Ooh, look, I bench press, 65 pounds. Now I'm going to try 68 and
Yeah.
go, that's pretty good." So again, the tracking is so important. And before I never did that. And I don't remember what weight I did last week. There's no, I can barely remember what I had for dinner the night before. So being able to track it, being able to see it, consistency in terms of the types of exercises, so I can watch myself increase my weights. I mean, it really is good.
Yeah, absolutely. The tracking is the key to getting the progress. Amazing. So Stephen, like, for maybe people watching this that maybe prospects that are looking to join the program and maybe a bit hesitant and stuff on to join. I mean, what would maybe your advice be to them that are maybe considering to join this program?
Yeah, and what I would tell everybody is that, if you're serious about, the next 30 years of your life, getting healthy, getting fit, this is the way to go, because you have to be able to track it. You're going to be working with individuals that have done this for decades and know how the system works. And there's no reason not to do this if you care really about your health and your life and your longevity and your strength, because that is going to be the key to living healthier the best you can as the years go on.
Absolutely, for sure. And how old are you now, Stephen, at the minute?
I am 61.
Nice.
So
Cool.
hopefully I have 30 years. We'll see. I don't know. I
I think so. Well, no, I think that's great. And what are the goals for the next few months, Stephen? Like, what are you looking to achieve? Hopefully from the next few months of working with us.
Yeah, I think probably the next 6 months, my goal will really be to decrease my body fat. I mean, I'm really anxious and excited to do that follow-up DEXA scan, which is,
Mm-hmm.
we did that body fat muscle mass scan in the beginning, and
Yeah.
I looked terrible, at least on the image. So really looking forward to continuing the progression, seeing wherever my weight takes me, and then, decreasing body fat to get more definition.
Amazing. No, I think that's great, and we're very happy to be coaching you through this as well, Stephen. So, yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming on today and sharing your experiences and some of the knowledge you've gained, but also I guess your wisdom around, if you are getting older and you're listening to this and you feel that your health is in a bad place, there's no better time than now to really start and obviously make that change, because longevity is really the game that we're here for, right? Is to live a long, happy, and fulfilled life. So, yeah, we really appreciate you, Stephen. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.